let's get into Brian. I'm gonna say Brian Collins. Let's get into Brian Kelly's situation at LSU. Uh, he was notified. Brian Kelly has was the coach at LSU, um, and and he received a huge deal. And he got a 10-year deal for what 80 million was it? Uh, trying to think what they had his salary was there. But anyway, however, they fired him this year. And when they fired him, it was basically up to the point of he wasn't meeting the standards of the team, right? So they didn't fire him with cause. And there's a difference when coaches get fired with cause and without cause. When a coach gets fired without cause, they are due the money that's remaining on their contract, i.e., the buyout, as they say it. And right now, it says that LSU was promised him 90% of his remaining base salary uh, because he was terminated without cause. So that adds up to about $54 million for him to be paid out in installments up to 2031. Well, LSU has now shifted that without cause to with cause. And here's what it was for. Because Brian Kelly is suing them because they made this change. And this is interesting. We saw a lot about the 95 million. Thank you. 10 years, 95 million. So one of the big stories was Mel Tucker at Michigan State when he got fired with cause dealing with the SA. You know, we can't say certain words on YouTube, but dealing with the SA with the young lady that came to do some presentation to the university, and he got fired with cause, and so they didn't give him his money. He didn't get his buyout. Well, there's some nasty work right here, and I'm going to talk about this because if you watch previous shows, I talked about these 10-year deals for coaches, and I think they're stupid, really. But I think I have an understanding of why they're doing it. But let me just get this going. If you look at this lawsuit, it says that according to Kelly's lawsuit, LSU has now told his representatives that they believe there are grounds to fire him for cause. If fired for cause, LSU may not owe him the full $54 million under his contract. The lawsuit says Kelly was not notified properly of any cause violations. His contract requires LSU to give him written notice and details the cause within 7 days, and then Kelly would have 7 days to respond. Well, here's what happened. The athletic director basically came out and said he was fired. They go through the buyout process, and Kelly denied the buyout. He was like, no, I'm not going for that. So since he denied it and said, I want all my money, LSU has now changed their story to say, we're going to fire you with cause. And the athletic director did not have the authority to actually fire him. This is where it gets funny. His name is Scott Woodward for LSU. And he says that Kelly's suit also argues that former LSU athletic director Scott Woodward, who announced his firing and made settlement offers, may not have had the authority to do so. LSU allegedly claimed after the fact that Woodward did not have the power to formally terminate Kelly or negotiate the settlement. Here were his offers. LSU offered Kelly two different deals to settle for $25 million lump sum and later $30 million in two payments. He rejected both of those offers because he wanted his whole $54 million. Cool. Now they switched it at a certain date, and this is where this stuff gets real murky, and you have to be like on it. When Kelly was fired October 26, LSU framed it as it was performance-based firing, not for misconduct. But when he denied the two opportunities at 25 and 30 million, then they switched it to say, oh, well, this guy Woodward, he didn't have the authority to fire you. So we're firing you with cause, right? And that's where the conflict comes in. And this is what's interesting. Let me get to the point about these 10-year deals. When I looked at the 10-year deal, I always thought it was stupid because 10 years, that's a decade of giving a coach. And who knows if that coach is going to turn out to be good or bad, right? And we saw big lump sums being paid out to Jimbo Fisher, 72 million. I mean, these guys are getting astronomical numbers in buyouts, but they have these long-term deals. And if you don't fire them with cause, then you have to pay them out this money. Well, here's the issue with this. The issue in turn is when you have this 10-year deal, what I've come to realize, it's almost like they're gambling with these coaches. We're going to give you a 10-year deal, right? If you work out, great. But if you don't work out, the institutions are saying we're going to hold your money and you're going to have to sue for it. We're going to find a way to put a with cause tag on your firing in some form of fashion. So we're not obligated to pay you out, right? And that's what's big about this. And that's what's crazy. And I don't know if the NCAA gets into this. I don't even know if they have like a coaches union or however that works. But somebody's going to have to do something because the money are astronomical in these buyouts. I think it was the 6 coaches that were fired. It was up to $184 million in just buyout money so far. So it was some crazy astronomical number in regards to that. So Brian Kelly is saying, nah, y'all going to pay me my money. We go to court, whatever. But here's what I realized. A lot of times when you go to court and you settle, the institution still comes out on top because they may find a way to say, hey, no, you're not obligated to $54 million, but we'll settle for $40 million. Well, that's a $14 million savings for the institution. But if Brian Kelly worked out, you got a longer deal for, I think, less money because he's making 9.5. So when everybody else is climbing the ladder on there, you kind of stuck within that contract. I would love to hear your thoughts in the chat in regards to that, because I mean, to me, that's a little crazy. Let me go ahead and put this up. I was supposed to have this up here. Shout out to the producer in the building, Ellen MVP. And I think you're going to see more of that. Like we just talked about James Franklin yesterday. Penn State would have been on the hook for $49 million, but because he got the job with Virginia Tech, he basically let them off the hook of $40 million, and Penn State only owes him $9 million now. I mean, listen to the numbers we're playing with. We're playing with some big numbers here. 40 million, 50 million, Jimbo 70-something million. I think Mel Tucker was going to get 85 million or 80 million, somewhere in there. Some crazy number. And I'll say this real quick. This is pure and all speculation. Because if people remember the Mel Tucker incident with the young lady, I believe she came out and kind of maybe recanted her story a little bit, but they already found him with cause. Just think about this from a business perspective. If I had a young lady to come out, or a person, just whatever it is, but I'm using the Mel Tucker situation, so I just want to bring up the ladies. So it's not about ladies, but because this situation will actually happen, I'm going to use this particular situation. But what if I gave the young lady 20 million to say what she need to say, so we don't have to pay 80 million? That's way cheaper than giving a dude 80 million to walk away. I give you 20, we get them with cause tag, we save 60 million. We can put that 60 million into our new coach and staff and all the other stuff that goes with it. I just want to put that out there for all my conspiracy theories. I think that's a little crazy, but I think Brian Kelly has a point. Brian Kelly, I don't really agree with him as a coach, but I think he has a point when it comes to this. Pay me my money. Give me my money. I earned it. This is what's in the contract. Honor that. If you fire me, then you can't change stride midstream. Because you fired me in October, and all of a sudden in November, you come out and say, oh, that guy didn't have the authority to do that. You should have known that right then. And to me, if the athletic director is making settlement offers, he got to clear that with people. He has to clear that. Like he ain't out there with a checkbook like, hey, Brian, you want 25 million? How about that? How about that number? Come on, man. So these people like to play games. These people like to play games. And so, like I said, when I look at this situation and I look at these coaches, they making buku money, man. Like when I first started coaching in like 2000, head coaches was making like $1 million, maybe. Yeah, I think Randy Shannon, that was like 07, 08. He was making like 800,000. These coaches, bro, Jimbo Fisher got 70 something million to go home and go to sleep. 70 million to go lay down. James Franklin got 49 million to go to bed. Bye. Ed Ogeron, 17 million. Like he said, what time you want me to leave and which door you want me to go out of? You got 17 million to go away. That's not including the money you made while you were actually working. So, like I said, these coaches are making some big bucks in here.